This is called the one-to-one red-blue conversation, where we pair someone who leans conservative and somebody who leans liberal.
Opportunity to talk with someone outside of your own political group.
To gain more understanding of someone who differs with you.
There's a conversation guide that they follow to understand with a respectful and civil conversation where people are coming from.
I am originally from a little town called New York City. My family's from Queens, which is why I'm named Elizabeth. My favorite meal as a child was cha siu fan, barbecue roast pork on rice.
My favorite meal as a child, we got to pick our birthday meals. And I always wanted something my mom made, which was a very basic lemon chicken. Like many families in the 1950s and 1960s, it was all food brought to you by Kraft Foods.
I joined Braver Angels kind of during the pandemic, and I was looking for something else to do. And it was very difficult to meet people and to talk to people. And I found it was a really good experience, learning from meeting new people, getting new ideas.
Even before joining Braver Angels, I found that kind of value of one-to-one conversations. So I've kind of found that whole idea of taking something that can be very standoffish and making it more personal and deliberative is really helpful.
Sometimes conversation is about so we can talk about our things and someone else can listen. I definitely have that, but I also find it valuable to hear other reactions and comments and feedback.
Right. Yep. And I kind of say the same thing. I see the same thing, that there's just something that a lot of what Braver Angels kind of espouses is communication, but where listening is the important thing that I think we're all kind of genetically programmed to have some challenges with that.
I took a political personality quiz once, and I got very libertarian, and I think that makes sense. My family comes from China via Venezuela, so very anti-communist, very strong fear of government.
I think there's maybe three things that I kind of see kind of makes the blue side more aligned with my personal sense. And the first is, and again, these are not exclusively blue or red things, but the first thing is kind of, a recourse to the law, and linked to that, telling truth to power, so that you've always got people in government who are going to be decision makers. And then the third thing, which is probably a little bit more general, is just that idea of a safety net, a social safety net.
I'm a conservative libertarian. People who think, people usually denigrate libertarians because they think libertarians are anarchists and we don't believe in government, which obviously there are anarchists. There are people who don't believe at all in that. I would say that generally it is a much more pioneer spirit. It's much more focused on what people can do amongst themselves at the lowest levels of government.
I think the kind of libertarian conservative, kind of see that as wanting to be more in control of your own destiny, basically. And my counter, I suppose, would be a little bit of that in almost any level of government. If you don't like the way it's working, you can work to lobby to change it.
Yeah, I think the importance is what you talked about, recourse to law, and I believe in that. But is it equal access to the recourse? Obviously, it's good to have recourse, but it has to be even.
We're gonna have discussions about that equity, because I think that's a real issue, because not everybody does have the knowledge or the resources to have recourse to the law. The term nanny state, it can strike a pin in me sometimes, because there is a sense that we are, a lot of blues are like, there's a lot of sob stories out there, oh, isn't this a sad story? Shouldn't we do something for that one person? And that can, and we don't have resources to treat everybody that way. And it is good to have some sense of responsibility out there, so that you're not just depending on the government to provide for you.
I don't believe in a very robust welfare state, but I also realize that the people I know who, I don't know why, I just, probably because I'm an immigrant, I know a lot of people who came from very little, and they've gotten to where they are through like sheer grit and talent. And I don't think that it should be required to be this talented to get somewhere in America. I know they say you can be anything in America if you're hardworking, but the hard work, it is too much. It is too high a burden. And I do think that the red side tends to minimize that. I think the one-on-one conversation seems like a very small thing, but I think it's huge. It is my hope that more people have one-on-one conversations, especially the people who might rightfully or wrongfully believe that they have no power, that they have no influence, that they are stuck in tribalist mindsets, and that we can rebuild America grassroots up.
I would hope that the country will continue to have discussions to really improve critical thinking. So we can work together without saying, I'm going to support every one of your positions and you will support every one of mine. Being able to see things differently and understand where the other person's coming from.
Yeah, that's very... I had always really hoped to meet someone really intelligent.